I'm Simeon Kelly, also known as Joseph Kelly, but my gamer name is simeonk21. I play for Eclipse, the two-time Echo Arena champions. I'm only a one-time champion, but I'm happy to be a part of the team. I think what it takes to be a professional esports player is obviously you got to put a lot of time and dedication in. You got to play with your teammates all the time. You got to make plays. You kind of shape the meta when you're getting early. So you're making plays, you're figuring out new things, and just getting familiar with each other's play style. Scrimming, playing with other top teams is really important. Just knowing people, you gotta try to go out and find people to have matches with, which is can be a challenge at times.
When you play against people and you see how they play as an individual player or as a team, do you try to be aware of how other teams play or how other individual players play so that you know how to best work against their skills?
So absolutely, that's a big thing, and even for us in season two, was a big thing was playing against people we've really never played before. Having that element of surprise, like not really knowing what they're doing. You play against other top teams so many times, you kind of get a feel for what they're doing. You kind of learn their tendencies. You learn where you can be on defense to kind of stop their offensive plays pretty well. And that's one of the things our team does well is we adapt to like other team strategies. So like you play a team that you never played before and they're doing plays that like they're just doing erratic stuff that you wouldn't expect in high level play. That kind of stuff seems to be pretty effective against us for a few games. So yeah, definitely, learning what other teams are doing definitely plays a huge part, especially on the defensive side of the field. Just like it takes us 2 or 3 games with another team to kind of get a feel for what they're doing and then kind of play them, I feel like at a high level or the highest level as we can.
What does it take as far as the amount of practice and stuff you put into it? Because most of you guys have jobs, you're professionals, or you go to college, or you actually, have professional jobs and families. What do you need to be able to be invested at this point to be one of the best or be the best like your team?
As a top team right now, I think the magic number is probably 2 to 3 nights a week for 3 or so hours. About 3 hours. I think 3 hours is about the good time. So 2 to 3 nights a week for about 3 hours. That's the regimen that we basically were running in season two. And being in season two, we were already pretty far ahead of most people though. So I don't really have a good level of play to say like, if a team's coming up and they want to try to challenge some of these top teams, I mean, obviously they're gonna need to put more time in than that because we're kind of like coasting at this point, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it's reality with family and life and work and all these things. So we've kind of been coasting it 2 to 3 days a week, and I think that's a pretty good level for right now. But in the future, you get people who are playing a lot more than I mean, it's like anything, you got to put a lot of time into it. Some of it though is like when the game first came out, no one really knew like this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is
Right.
how you should do this. This is how you should do that. So we kind of trailblaze that in a way. And the thing about it is now is people can watch these matches and they can kind of get a head start. So I don't think it takes quite as long to get to where we are. Like if you started today and you were using your resources, you watching matches, you can kind of see how the
Yes.
game is supposed to be played. You can see a meta that was formed. Early on, like it was like a freestyle. Like people were just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like it took a while for people to kind of learn like the way the game's being played today. And I think that a lot of those resources that are available now can help new teams get into it a lot faster than you would think. Like yeah, they got some players now who are, mechanically are playing just as well as us. They just need to get some of those team aspects together, and they'll be right there.
What do you think is probably the most important trait as a team?
I think the most important thing right now in high level play is to always give your teammates an option. Never leave them hanging to where they have nothing to do. Sometimes the best option might be, just getting rid of the disc down the field, which is, you don't really want it to be that, but sometimes that's necessary. But like as a teammate, like your teammate has the disc, is always make it to where you give them an option for a pass or something to help them succeed. So I think like if your QB has the disc, you should always have two available passes, or you might be brawling with the defender to make a pass available, but you always want to have an option for your teammates. So I think that's the biggest thing. Like the biggest time when you lose the disc or unexpected things happen is when one person has the disc and they just don't have an option, and they're trying to find an option. So like as a teammate, just to keep those passing lanes open, to keep visual, to communicate, to let them know when people are coming on, just all those things help. Yeah, and I think it goes back to synergy, just playing with your teammates. Learning their styles and stuff, and there's always stuff you can do better. Yeah, and just quick reactions too, because you just like sometimes like you just got to get rid of the disc quick. Like so, like if you can see one pass ahead, like as you're going to recover the disc, if you're already seeing your available pass, and you can just kind of like slap it over to that person instead of like catching the disc, looking around and trying to find something. Just like thinking ahead, and making that next play in your head when it's available.